The Blaine Bengals welcome the Wayzata Trojans in a rematch of last year's Class 6A section championship game, a game that Blaine won 42-28. Good evening, everybody. I'm Bill Hupp alongside my broadcast partner, J.W. Cox. And J.W., it's a cool, clear night for football here at Blaine. Beautiful Bengals Stadium and the new turf. And Blaine welcomes Wayzata as two teams come in tonight looking to get on track after losses last week.
Absolutely. They're teams that are right there bunched up in the middle of the Metro Gold North, and I think two teams, Bill, that are looking for answers late in the season. Wayzata has proven that they're a very good team, can go get some victories. Everything is still out in front of them when it comes to the state tournament coming up in a couple of weeks. And then for the Bengals, tough losses early in the season to good top 10 teams. Last week they lose to a tough Cougar team, but I was impressed with how they played in the first half. It's opportunity number 1 of 2 here for the Bengals to prove that they can play with these big teams and put themselves in a position for success in the postseason tournament.
And Wayzata will receive the opening kick as Blaine and Ryan Schweiger has it teed up at the 40-yard line. Bengals in the dark blue jerseys, dark blue helmets, light blue letters and numerals with white trim. Wayzata in the gold helmets, gold pants, white jerseys, and blue numerals. Crowd fired up tonight as Julian Diedrich and Eli Lenort are back deep to receive for Wayzata, standing at their 10-yard line. This will be taken by Lenort at his own 5-yard line. He brings it out across the 10, slips as he gets across the 20-yard line. And Wayzata will start 1st and 10 right at that 20.
Elbow back a little bit. There was some pushing, shoving, an out-and-out tackle made away from the play. A little extra step over a man down on the field. And so Wayzata's going to get backed up here with an early penalty.
Penalty flag announced by our referee for tonight. So Wayzata and Joe Beckman, or rather Wayzata the guilty party. Nate Graham, a big 6'6", 220-pound tight end. The guilty party for the Trojans. So they will start with the football back on their own 10-yard line. From the shotgun, quarterback Ryan Harvey takes and gives first to Julian Alfaro Dietrich, and he is thrown for no gain.
Well, the Bengals are going to have to be stout up front tonight, Bill. That's what we saw them do successfully against Centennial, both on the offensive line side and the defensive front, to keep that first half tight. It was 14-14 going to the second. Cougars last week were able to put that long drive on in the second half that really punctuated their win. But the Bengals came out well, and they've got to do that again, winning up front against Wayzata tonight.
Leading receiver Drew Berkland stands in the slot on 2nd down. Low snap. Berkland just out of his reach as they tried to hit him on the slant. They love that passing play, and they've run it with effectiveness this year. Ryan Harvey coming in 63 of 93, a 68% passer, 847 yards, 3 touchdowns, but also 9 interceptions. So it brings up 3rd down, 3rd and 10 from the 10-yard line. And this is exactly where Blaine wants to have the Trojans. 2 receivers each side as Harvey takes the snap. Play action to Cockrell. He'll roll out, and he's going to be sacked. The Bengals with the sack. A big sack indeed. Jacob Emslander, the leading sack man for this Blaine team. And the Bengals with a perfect defensive session to start.
Absolutely. The 3-and-out punt opportunity forced here, and those Bengals up front. Emslander, he can be the playmaker on that edge. Middle sucked in by guys like Schustad and Huber, the big men up front. And then Emslander gets to roam free and make some of those plays on the edge. We saw him have a big game against Centennial last week.
So Joe Beckman standing at midfield awaiting this Wayzata punt. Bounds at the 44. He'll let it roll. It takes a Wayzata bounce inside the 45, and it'll be down at about the 41-yard line of Blaine. So that's where the Bengals will take over 1st and 10 with their first offensive series of the game.
Completely different. They did not get the stop the first time against Centennial last week. We'll recall the Bengals started with the football, marched down and scored, and then the defense gave up the touchdown to Centennial. So a great start for this Bengal defense. Now the big question, Bill, also can they do that same type of dominance up front on the offensive side and allow Preston Myers in the run game to get rolling against this tough Wayzata front?
A.J. Call, the quarterback, and he'll have Preston Myers joining him in the backfield. Myers play fake, throws behind his intended receiver, but the catch is made down at the 46-yard line. It's a 5-yard pickup on first down. A little pitch and catch out there to Cole Schmidt, making his 8th reception. Ooh, and I think they got away with one. That looked like that bounced off the turf, but they gave him the catch, making it 2nd and 5.
He made it work. A little short throw for A.J. Call. You have to get him in a rhythm. He's been very efficient the last couple of weeks.
Call wants to go to the air looking for Jordan Reynolds, who makes the catch at the 28-yard line. Reynolds got a little separation from his defender, leaped and made a great catch.
Just a beautiful thrown ball. Only Reynolds is going to get there with pressure in his face. Call able to let it go, and Reynolds his top target. Out of bounds, they spot him at the 27. Twice through the air go the Bengals. And that one picking up 27.
Yep, 27 on that gain. And Preston Myers now, the big bruising back, gets down near the 20-yard line. Call it a pickup of about 6.5 on first down for the Bengals. So a great opening drive. JW, we've seen against Tino Grace and against Centennial, Blaine on their opening drive marched down in both games and scored, so very methodically, and they are using the big play more on this drive.
And this time doing it after kicking off and getting that quick 3 and out. So this is all gravy right now for the Bengals, knowing they'll get that second half kick too, as they moved too early, and so they'll shoot themselves in the foot here with a 5-yard penalty.
Indeed, first penalty of the game, not what they wanted, certainly, but Zach Schusted, the guilty party for the Bengals.
They had a man going in motion, little fullback going from the right to the left, and so Schusted on that offensive line, trying to stay home. Got a little antsy in the blocks there.
So from the 26, again give to Myers. He's going left edge this time, gets the corner, tries to shake a man, finally knocked out of bounds inside the 15-yard line, but it should be enough to move the chains. Tim Hess forcing him out at the 13-yard line, but not before a first down is gained. Nice pickup of 13 on that run.
Yeah, you'll look and see them stretch this out. That's the man who could get him flying into the backfield, Fox Knutson, the 6'2" linebacker, and Myers was able to have enough speed to get to that edge and finish the run well down the sideline for the first down.
Again, give to Myers inside. He skips out of a tackle, falls forward at the 7-yard line. Give him 5 on that one. So he's already 3 carries for 25 yards on this drive. And brings up a second and a very manageable 5. Bengals can get a first down without scoring a touchdown. Reynolds split to the short side. Again, the give to Myers up the gut. And good pressure this time. Driven back really well by the leading tackler for this Wayzata team, Chase Ulam. Comes in with 50 tackles. And it's one time Myers couldn't just run through a tackler.
Yeah, he's been able to hop through the holes and get away, but not going to get away from 2 hands wrapped around by Ulam. 6'2", 195, owning the hole right there. And stopping Myers short.
Makes it 3rd and 4 from the 6-yard line. Call again gives it up the middle to Myers. Pretty conservative play call on 3rd down. Myers stopped up for maybe a gain of 1 down to the 5. And again, they still can get the 3rd down, but they are going to take the points. They're going to trot out Kendall Stadden. to attempt a short field goal.
This is why Stadden is here. She shares the kicking duties with Ryan Schweiger, and to start the season at least, it was the short yardage accurate situations. So well within the range, and they love the accuracy with which she can do it out of the hold of Jill Beckman.
27-yard attempt, and Stadden splits the uprights. The field goal is good. So Kendall Stadden knocks it through, and again, special teams, particularly field goal kicking, has been a strength all year. So Stadden, who just saw her illustrious soccer career at Blaine end with a loss in the section semifinals to Andover, now playing football for the rest of the season and contributing right away for the Blaine Bengals.
Yeah, that's big points. You take the points, you got the stop. Wayzata, as you've said and we've seen, has played in low-scoring games recently. Their offense has been held in check. Bengals did a good job. You don't want to get too greedy if you're Coach Mike Law. Went conservative, trying to pop open a hole there inside the 6-yard line. Didn't happen. You take the points. Your defense is playing well. You got a possession in hand, basically, to start the second half, and you take the 3-0 lead.
So now it'll be the other kicker, Ryan Schweiger, to tee it up at the 40-yard line and kick it off. Again, Lenort and Alfaro Diedrich back deep to receive for Wayzata. End-over-end kick taken by Lenort at his own 6. Up the right side, try to split defenders. Good return out near the 30-yard line, and that's where Wayzata will begin 1st and 10. Bengals strike first. I think they'll feel disappointed they couldn't convert that into a touchdown, but they did come away with points, which is always a promising sign on your opening drive.
They were able to score early against Minnetonka, make a 3-0 score out of it. Unable to do anything after that. So they don't want to end up in that same spot against a tough team in Wayzata. That makes this rather a big defensive set.
Dante Cockrell Jr. out there in the backfield. Diedrich's out there as well, but he's split out wide as a wide receiver. Play fake to him. Slant over the middle to Drew Birkeland. Birkeland breaking tackles, still going. Birkeland across midfield, finally tackled out of bounds near the 40-yard line. A big pass play on 1st down.
Yeah, that one will go for 27 there. 37, excuse me.
Yeah, 33 on that one.
Most of that coming after the catch. And just a little pitch, you said it. They missed on this play on their first possession, but were unable to get that connection. This time it is good, and it is Birkeland that makes everybody pay, slanting across to the far side.
Birkeland's such an athlete. You just get the ball in his hands any way you can. Cockrell Jr. gets the call this time, running with purpose, bulldozing defenders down near 1st down yardage. He'll be about a yard short, stopped up at the 31-yard line after a gain of 9.
So one big good play for Wayzata has them feeling better after the 3 and out. Needed a confidence boost, and that Birkeland play gave it to him. And now those big guys up front trying to seal things off on that edge, and did so for Dante Cockrell Jr.
Cockrell Jr. trying to shake out that left arm. Trips to the near side, pistol formation for Wayzata. Again, Cockrell Jr. gets the call in between the tackles, 1st down yardage and more. Finally ganged tackled at around the 20-yard line, but another pickup of 11. Cockrell Jr., 2 carries, 20 yards on this drive.
Good patience right there for Cockrell Jr. too. You'll watch him not quite hit the hole right away, makes that little cut, then the hesitation, cuts back, and that draws the crowd. But he was able to pick up that 1st down, courtesy of that first cut.
Just about midway through this first quarter of action. Bengals with a 3-0 lead, but Wayzata's driving. Again, the give to Dante Cockrell Jr. Breaking tackles inside the 10-yard line. Down to about the 8, 12 yards on that tote.
So he's averaging 10 yards plus a carry. And that time a missed tackle for the Bengals. Had a chance to get him right around the line of scrimmage. Good penetration, a good dive there for Jaden Grant, but he could not wrap him up, though he had the hand graze across the back of Cockrell.
This is the kind of guy that can run through arm tackles. 1st and goal, Trojans from the 8-yard line of Blaine. Again, give on the jet sweep to Birkeland. Birkeland reaching for the goal line. Touchdown! Although there is a penalty flag right around the spot where you often see holding called, so hang on a second. Great play design as Birkeland came around on the jet sweep, and they handed it off to him. Picked his way toward the goal line and reached across, but we await the penalty call.
They did bring a third official in there quickly from the near side. See if that changes anything. Result of the play was the 8-yard touchdown. So well done, well designed, but not quite well executed. Berkland's moving, he's moving right there. I mean, Cockrell Jr. just got going too quick. So the tailback leaning.
It's a 5-yard penalty, but an important one. 2 penalties, 15 yards now. This marches it back to the 13-yard line. Lambert Brown talked about not wanting to shoot his team, needing to clean up the mistakes, and there's certainly one right there. Again, this time they'll give it to Dante Cockrell Jr. up the gut. Again, inside the 10, down to the 9. So pick up a 4 on that rush. This time, instead of, they flashed Berkland across again, but gave it to Cockrell instead.
Yeah, get ready to see a lot of that. They want it in the hands of 15, but also can use that to try and stretch things out and open up those holes in the middle for Cockrell Jr. It's been their show so far on this drive that has traversed so far from their own 27 down to the 8.
From the 9, again, Berkland on the jet sweep, trying to pick his way, bounces it outside, sheds a tackle, reaching for the goal line, touchdown. He lowered the shoulder, delivered the boom, and scored for Wayzata. That's just a physical athlete making a play as he flexes as he walks down the sidelines for the Trojans. And a great response for Wayzata as they marched it down. 73-yard drive cashed in by this 9-yard Drew Berkland touchdown.
Well, they're going to have to make sure they're crossing their T's and dotting their I's here, because it looked like Cockrell Jr. was starting to lean a little bit early again. Exact same play that they got whistled for that illegal procedure. And that time deemed to have been set enough. And the extra point goes through.
Yep, Andy Vrundy, now 13 of 15 on the season in extra points. But again, you see the touchdown here, and Cockrell Jr. this time out in front as a blocker, but much of this was done by the physicality of Drew Berkland, who delivered a shot to Luke Studer, who was coming up to make the tackle.
Just 2 minutes and 26 seconds off the clock, so a quick, efficient drive courtesy of that big first carry, first reception. 33 yards on that little slant, and that set it up, which, as you mentioned, they were trying to hit on that very first sequence of downs.
Berkland, of course, is a Minnesota baseball commit for the Trojans. He's also led the team in scoring when they won their state championship this year over Cretin-Derham Hall. So obviously one of those athletes, baseball, basketball, football. Low squib kick. Fielded at the 10-yard line. Stacked up and driven back, Tyler Terry on the return. Spotted at the 23, so Wayzata managed to march down and cash in their second drive of the game. We'll see what Blaine does with their second drive.
Well, a couple big plays. The one big play, certainly at 27 yards, stands atop all of them to Jordan Reynolds, and that helped set up the eventual field goal, but they did stall out once they got inside the 10. We'll see what the mix of run and pass is early here.
Again, Preston Myers, the lone setback. He gets the call on first down. Runs in to big number 99, Tim Hess. Drove him back.
Well, that is the
Alber as well in there.
That is the 6th carry for Myers, and the last 3 have just been for a single yard. So he is earning them in there between, doing his best Lance Liu impression, as we saw from the Cougar tailback. They grind you down and then eventually can start breaking bigger runs. We'll see what the Bengals have in store.
And they need to throw a little more to loosen up this Wayzata defense, which has proven stout this year, especially up front. Call, play fake, no throw, low throw, not a very good one. And Jordan Reynolds could not scoop it off the turf.
Yeah, you look at Wayzata over the season, and even in their losses, held Centennial to 6 points. Maple Grove put up 3 touchdowns, as Wayzata only scored 3. 34-17, 34-14, shut out their first 2 opponents. This defense is for real with that kind of meandering 4-3 look. Right now, 3 down linemen showing pressure with the extra defensive back.
Big 3rd and 9 right here from the 24. Call, 3-step drop, looking middle. He's got Emslander. He makes the catch. First down yardage across the 35 out to the 37. It's a little pitch and catch of 8 and enough for a first down.
Yeah, I mean, just an easy toss, well designed. You've got big Jacob Emslander, 6'4", 225. Get him slanting across. He cuts in front of the defensive back, Westermeyer. Just a shade late to get there. And it's the first down pickup for the Bengals.
I should correct myself. It's a gain of 13 on that play. Gets it out to the 37. And again, they'll go back to the ground with Myers churning the legs, being pushed forward. That's a hard-earned 3 yards on first down. 4 yards, give it. Myers 7 carries now for 32 yards, and he was back against Centennial. They fed him 20 times during the game. Despite the fact that they were trailing late in the second half. Second down, call on the quarterback keeper this time, out across the 45, out near first down yardage, and we got a late flag coming in. So we'll see. Blaine faithful certainly think that's in their favor. But a nice little pickup of 4.
Don't always see that from Call with the keeper. He's going to be selected, and we'll see what they get him for.
Fox Knutson, I believe, the guilty party is called. Takes the draw. Looked like he was just falling down. I'm not sure there's anything untoward about that from Fox Knutson, but there was helmet-to-helmet contact, so that moves the football inside the 40 in Wayzata territory.
You've got to use it if you're the Bengals.
Yep. 3 penalties already for 30 yards on Wayzata. Changing the play at the line. Ball at the Trojans' 39. Myers spins out of a tackle, and then he's stacked up and thrown for a loss. Noah Rychik. Among others, leading the charge for Wayzata.
Sometimes the spin will work out for you, and sometimes it won't. That time in the won't category. Looked good, but he never really got out of the grasp of Rychik.
Rychik with 20 tackles now on the season, 5 tackles for loss. Again, give to Myers, and they were not fooled whatsoever. Hess in there, Ulam, and Rychik.
I like what number 99, Bo Albers, did here. Bursting in there, he sheds his block and blew that play up. He helped usher him to the ground, too. And you give Rychik credit for that tackle. But the big defensive lineman able to beat his block, burst into the backfield and close down that lane for Preston Myers.
Makes it 3rd and 14 after those 2 negative plays. Swing pass to Myers, and again, great gang tackling. Fox Knutson and Ulam in there on the stop for Wayzata. And after getting the benefit of a penalty to get into Wayzata territory, 3 straight negative plays for Blaine.
A long way to go to basically pick up a yard, and that's just sure tackling that time. Chase Ulam in open space, and now a dangerous situation after this punt. Bengals need to bring that defense. That one even takes a Wayzata bounce there from inside the 25 to outside of it at the 27.
Yeah, call, little pooch punt, and Reynolds ultimately pounced on it. So now this is a big stop here for Blaine. You certainly don't want to find yourself chasing more than you have to in this game. The way Wayzata just moved the football, they have to be feeling pretty confident offensively. This is a team that, as you said, JW, came in having scored 3 points in the last 2 games. But they went back to their playmakers, and it was Dante Cockrell Jr. and Drew Berkland, who helped them march it down the field and into the end zone. Hadn't scored since early in the 4th quarter against Totino Grace. Cockrell Jr. the lone setback. Harvey play fake, looking left, now going right. And he swings it out to Dante Cockrell Jr., who's got a first down out across the 35, shoved out of bounds at the 40. A nice pickup on first down.
Great run after the catch. A little bit of man coverage there, and it was good coverage down the field. But the quarterback, or the Bengals rather, couldn't get to the quarterback, Harvey. It's the first time he's held the ball very long back there in the pocket, which can be tough sometimes on opposing quarterbacks with this Blaine defensive front. But that time, no pressure, was able to dump it off, and Cockrell does the rest.
Gain of 14. Harvey back to the air, trying to force it into Birkeland.
That's a great read by Jackson Braun. He's seen that twice now. Once they dropped it, once they threw it for a big 33-yard gain, and that time Braun gets in there, and he's able to knock it away.
Well read indeed by Jackson Braun. So it brings up 2nd and 10 from the 40. Braun, 40 tackles and 2 interceptions on the season coming in.
Times that a little more, he might have a pick. It was also thrown a little bit high.
Again, the give to Cockrell Jr. running right, and he is ankle tackled. Excellent job of making the stop. Brings up 3, as you see here.
Yeah. Good job streaking over there for Jack Johnson. Got in there to make that tackle. Cockrell's eluded tacklers after first contact. He did that on that entire drive, and that time, not quite as much. And that'll get us to the end of the quarter.
Yep, Wayzata will flip ends of the field ahead of this big 3rd down. Coming up after a quarter of play here on North Metro TV, Bengals trail it by 4. Blaine student section wearing pink tonight in October.
I didn't know there were so many pink cowboy hats to be had, but almost every 3rd person.
Yeah, I wonder what their source is. 3rd and 7 coming up from the 43-yard line for the Trojans. Pistol formation, play fake to Cockrell Jr. stepping up in the pocket. Harvey trying to run for it, and he'll get the first down. Fumble, the ball's loose.
He was hanging on to that football the whole time like a loaf of bread that was hot in his hand, and he was able to fall back on it. It'll be a first down for the Trojans. That was a big-time break to recover that, as finally there was some pressure on Harvey, and the big 6'4" lumbering quarterback was able to elude that enough and wind his way to the first down. Steps up in the pocket, forced there, gets the block, pushed away there from Zach Peterson, and then the big recovery for the Trojans.
Not the intended play, but credit Harvey for improvising. He picks up 8 on 3rd down. It's 1st and 10 just inside Blaine territory. And this time Clayton Huber wrangles down Cockrell Jr. And actually that was, correct the record, it was a different Blaine Bengal. Peterson making the stop, wearing that 58, because he's now also on the offensive line. So Zach Peterson, playing tackle and also offensive lineman.
It looked like on that 3rd down before the Harvey scramble, the Blaine defensive line had come to make a big play, as we've seen them make in weeks past. Harvey's able to step through. Maybe they're feeling it now.
Huber chasing Harvey. He's once again going to have to run for it. There is a penalty marker down. He's right at near the first down spot, but we await the penalty call. The early indications are a hold on Wayzata.
I love the pressure from the Bengals.
And JW, that's causing the issues for the Trojans.
Yeah, that's exactly it. They're finally getting upfield into the face of Harvey. And we'll see if we can grab that hold, and we had it there. I think we were holding Zach Peterson, who made the last couple of plays. And it'll back him up to the 40.
I believe it was Blake Bergman, the 6'3", 240-pound senior, whistled for the infraction. So the 4th penalty of the half on Wayzata moves the football back to their own 41, and it's a spot foul. So 10 plus wherever it was. So this is a huge play, makes it 2nd and 20 from the 41. Little bubble screen out to Birkeland out there. And actually that's Diedrich, snowed under for no gain.
That's a good rally to the football by the Bengals. Now they can pin their ears back here on a 3rd down and long and see if they can make a bigger play in this scenario.
Diedrich lost a shoe on that one. No gain on the play. Makes it 3rd and 19. Well, we'll call it still 3rd and 20 from the 41.
Doing a good job bottling up Diedrich. Couple of catches, but for no gain. Some of those little screen play.
Yeah, they haven't featured him in the running game really yet tonight either. Play fake to Cockrell Jr. wanting to throw the screen behind his intended receiver, Eli Lenort. And Lenort will be thrown down a couple yards shy of the 1st down, so a nice pickup of 17 to get it down to the Blaine 39, and obviously this is 2-down territory. Just patient, moved in the pocket, and then a nice adjustment by Lenort.
Yeah, that's just
haul that in.
That's a huge throw to make that throw to get as close as he was, because if they don't get this close to 1st down yardage, maybe it's not 2-down territory and they try to pin the Bengals deep, but now you just need 2 yards. Cockrell's been getting that on average. Already rushed for 40 yards in this 1st half.
On the jet sweep, Birkeland this time, Blaine equal to it. Birkeland trying to get
secondary push has him awful close, and it depends on the spot now. They had him stopped at the 40. He was able to surge forward, and we'll see where they spot the football.
Jaden Grant among others.
1st down.
Wayzata thinks they have it, and they do. So a gain of 2 on the jet sweep on 4th down.
You'll see the progress stopped right at the 40. Great push upfield to make that tackle, and then the push from the offensive lineman to pile him ahead past the 40-yard line, close to where they needed it. Blaine Bengals were that close to getting off the field.
Wayzata gets just enough on 4th down to keep the drive alive. Cockrell Jr. up the gut, falling forward, tumbling down. 1st down yardage, and then some. Picks up 11 on that carry.
And he hit the hole hard that time. We've seen some good patient running at times from Cockrell Jr., but that time just did not waste any moments getting into that hole right in the middle of the line and burst his way through. He's a big, long runner, 6'1", 235, so he carries that weight and that power, but he's got a good stride when he can get out in space. Very dynamic, and he's been tough to take down so far tonight.
It almost looks like a college tailback with his size out there. He gets the call again on 1st down. This time he's tackled by Henry Morris, leading tackler for this Blaine team, but not before picking up 4 to the 24.
That's what you got to do. If you hit him first, you're going to get a chance to hit Cockrell Jr. He's not afraid of running between the tackles. He's not just trying to sprint away. He's welcoming the contact, and he's been able to bounce off it in this 1st half. If you're the Bengals and you get that first contact on Cockrell Jr., you have to bring him down, or it's going to be immediately a 7, 8, 9-yard gain at the least.
Harvey play fake. He'll swing it to the near side for Birkeland. Birkeland out racing Braun. Braun trips him up inside the 15-yard line. Down near the 10, spotted at the 13. But another 1st down, spotted at the 12.
Well, Braun read it well, but then he over-pursued right there, and that allowed the speed of Birkeland to get past him to the edge. Had to break that down a little bit earlier. And Jackson Braun might have been able to make a play, but it didn't happen. Now it's another 1st down for the Trojans.
In point of fact, I've called Clayton Huber's name tonight, but he's actually on the sidelines in street clothes. So Clayton Huber not in this football game for Blaine tonight. They're also missing Jackson Scullerud. As the give up the gut, big push toward the goal line, and it's going to be just shy of the goal line. Down to the 1. Just another 1st down.
Continued to move the pile. This is a drive that seems stalled at 3rd down and 20. They picked up that big 17-yard pass play.
That was Diedrich just following his big line. This time Harvey will plunge over, and that's a touchdown for Wayzata. Ryan Harvey, the big 6'4" junior, keeps it himself and plunges over, and Wayzata capitalizes on their 3rd drive. They've had 3 drives, and 2 of them have resulted in touchdowns.
Well, just a tremendous push 2 times on offense. Wants to get down to the 1 at the end of that long run. Wants to get the first down when it looked like they were stymied on a 4th down try on a 4th and 2. And then that time the 1-yard plunge is good for the quarterback.
Rondion to attempt the extra point. He splits the uprights. And it's 14-3 now, Trojans on top of the Bengals. But line of scrimmage, we talked about J.W. Clayton Huber being absent tonight. And certainly they miss his presence up front at that line of scrimmage, as you see again. Just the big push, and all Harvey has to do basically is fall forward.
Yeah, just the line of scrimmage changes drastically when you don't have Huber's presence up there, and that provides some answers to us for why things have gone the way they have at times on that defensive front, not getting that same kind of push.
It's actually Noah Scullerud who is out, the backup tailback. So you've got Preston Myers and Luke Hegestead serving as his backup tonight. Expect Myers to get the lion's share of the carries.
More than 6 minutes off the clock on that drive as well, Bill, for the Wayzata Trojans, taking it from the first quarter with about 40 seconds left here into the second.
Caught at the 12. And a return by Terry, picking his way out near the 30-yard line before he's dragged down at the 27. So that's where Blaine will take over 1st and 10. And after taking the opening drive and turning it into a field goal on the big pass play to Reynolds, Bengals have some work to do, trailing 14-3.
And they put up 79 yards of total offense. Most of that came on that opening drive where they took it from their own 41 down eventually to the 5. Meanwhile, Wayzata 160 of total offense, 84 of that on the ground, and 55 of that belongs to the tailback Dante Cockrell Jr.
Myers on the stretch play. Fox Knutson out there. And he leads the charge as Myers is dropped for about 1.5 yard loss. And now Myers losing yards as much as he's gaining them. So good penetration from this Wayzata defense.
That's 3 straight negative yardage plays. First 3 carries, 25 yards for Preston Myers. Well, the last 3 have netted 0 for him as he's sitting at 25 total yards.
Call goes to the air. Airing it out, looking for Myers out of the backfield, and it's intercepted. Picked off by Zach Boutwell, the junior, his first interception of the year, and he kind of caught it going over the shoulder. Wayzata takes over 1st and 10 at their own 45.
Well, trying to run the wheel play to Preston Myers. Takes a little time to get there. They had the time and just overthrown into double coverage. And a great pick. Myers has to play defensive back and make the open field tackle. Overthrew it, double coverage. And that was the play designed, but not the one in the spot where it needed to be thrown. And that's an opportunistic interception for the Trojans, who have all the momentum in this game.
Great field position to boot, starting their 4th drive. Cockrell Jr. remains the tailback. He gets the carry on 1st down. Again, a big hole out to midfield. Gain of 5, and that was an easy 5, JW.
Yeah, they'll take that every single time, and that's, I mean, you got to get him on first contact, but he's also tough because he's so quick to that hole. And by the time first contact comes, he might already have 3 or 4 yards. The offense trying to find some answers with that coaching staff for the Bengals on the sideline. They are in a hole. They need their defense down a couple of guys to try and make a play here.
2 receivers right and left. Harvey, again, play fake over the middle for Birkeland. They love that little post pattern, and it's a little pitch and catch of 14 yards down to the 36.
Yeah, there it was. Little play fake. There was some pressure, but credit Harvey. He gets the ball out of his hands quickly. Good route run by Birkeland, and he's in the spot he needs to be.
Officially 13 on that pitch and catch from the 37. Cockrell Jr. tracking defenders again down near 1st down yardage. Inside the 30 to the 29. Gain of 8 on 1st down.
They're just getting everything working right now. Cockrell Jr., the polar opposite of the issues that Preston Myers has had. Everything is starting out positive. He's only had 2 carries of 3 yards or less.
Now Wayzata wants to go tempo as Cockrell Jr. again gets first down yardage down to the 25. So that's that more modest gain. But JW, what's he up to now?
72 yards so far. He's got 3 carries of over 10, and just those 2, as mentioned, under 3. Everything for positive yardage, though, for Cockrell Jr.
So the ball's at the Blaine 25-yard line. Wayzata once again driving. Already ahead 14-3 and looking for more before half.
Averaging about 6.5 per carry is Cockrell Jr.
Harvey again gives it to Cockrell Jr. Steps out of a couple defenders, ankle tackles, and he gets down to the 15-yard line. That'll be enough for another first down on that run of 10. And meanwhile, we've got an injured Bengal on the field. Grabbing his collarbone, it looks like.
Cockrell Jr. stumbling and falling his way to 10 yards. If he keeps his feet more cleanly at any one of these moments, Turf got him there, tripped up by an ankle tackle, and he still is able to fall forward for another 3 yards. That's just a tremendous run, even though he didn't have the greatest of balance. Gets him a first down.
Henry Morris had him by the ankles, and Cockrell Jr. just stepped out of that ankle tackle. So now they're tending to the injured Bengal, and Wayzata had started to go tempo too, which just makes things even more challenging as Jaden Grant walks off the field under his own power. Jeff Johnson also in on the stop.
Just really tough to see there. Inside of the aftermath, you could see Jaden Grant go down in a heap a little bit. Now Wayzata trying to ramp it back up. Clock spins again.
That power rushing formation with the ball at the 15 on first down. Low snap. Give it to Julian Dietrich. Throwing to the air. Cockrell makes the catch. Dante Cockrell trying to get to the goal line, and he's knocked out of bounds right about the 5-yard line. It's another first down for Wayzata.
And everything's going right for the Trojans. Coaches will look at this film and absolutely be sick, because this isn't how it is supposed to look. It's a great play design. About 3 times things were just a little bit off kilter. They might have scored on this pass thrown behind Cockrell, and yet with all of that, Bill, they still picked up a first down. That's just how things are rolling for the Trojans right now.
Gain of 11 on that play. Spotted at the 4-yard line. First and goal for Wayzata. Cockrell Jr. reaching for the goal line. And they're going to stop him short, about a half-yard short. So once again, Wayzata gets right to the edge of it. Now, is this going to be another Harvey plunge or something else?
Cockrell Jr. up over 100 yards of total offense, 25 through the air with that last catch.
Great job there, and I think Harvey may have actually kept it himself. Cockrell Jr. was tackled, but Harvey had it. Blaine, the defense stiffening right near the goal line.
He's already plunged his way for one, that time trying to read the edge, and yeah, the edge came out over and tackled the ball-less tailback. And then the quarterback was unable to bounce off the edge, and they'll actually give him a loss back to the 2.
3rd and goal now for Wayzata from the 2-yard line. Cockrell Jr. going left. And again, he's going to be stopped short. So how about this Bengals defensive line? Brings up 4th and goal from the 1. Cockrell Jr. has been effective between the tackles, but the Blaine defense bending but not breaking yet.
14 carries for him. See if number 15 gets him pay dirt again. Gets the Trojans pay dirt again.
Harvey changing the play, and you could see that was all kinds of confusion. Did Wayzata take a timeout?
Oh,
Blaine took a timeout. Wow.
There was a Wayzata penalty. That's what I thought we were getting, was the penalty, because the whole left side of the line moved before everybody else did. But Wayzata living right at this point, and the timeout might have kept the 5 yards from going against him here.
JW, what time of the quarter did this drive start? We're at 1:59 of the second quarter.
looked down after they scored their touchdown, and it was like 7:39. And so it's just flown through, mainly because of this run game for the Trojan faithful. Jersey night across the way for the Trojan students.
Jersey night. It's always a fun parlor game to see if you can guess the jersey. Yeah, it's a big 4th down, needless to say. Obviously going down 21-3, not ideal. And Blaine already a little shorthanded because of injuries tonight. And coming off a couple tough physical games, including against rival Centennial last week. And so Wayzata, after marching it down following the interception and getting down to the shadow of the goal line, now faces a big 4th down coming up. Birkeland, the lone receiver, split wide. Harvey gets it, reaches across for the touchdown, and it was juggled. I don't think that's how they drew it up in the huddle necessarily, but again, credit Ryan Harvey for improvising his 2nd straight 1-yard touchdown plunge tonight. He's got 2 of the 3 Trojan touchdowns tonight, and they are an extra point away from a 21-3 lead.
Yeah, that is not what they were looking for, but Harvey able to settle this one into his hands. Watch this come bobbling out to him. It was knocked out of his hands by Blake Justison, who came flying by kind of on a jet sweep motion. But Harvey settled that one. He settles the hold on the extra points, and it is that 21-3 score.
Grundy 3 for 3 for extra points here tonight, and Wayzata has cashed in on 3 straight drives. This one, obviously, the short field set up by the interception by Zach Boutwell. So again, turnovers, taking care of the football, not shooting yourselves in the foot, and that's certainly something that both coaches will talk about, but especially Blaine in the halftime talk. 1:54 to go before the break.
Yeah, and that was the first
3-0 lead. They've given up the last 21.
That was the first time that Wayzata has had a drive that had no penalties on their offensive side, so they're cleaning things up. They were penalty-ridden their first couple. That time they go through in their 10 plays.
Drive 10 plays, 55 yards in 3:57. So now Blaine has to take care of the football. They'd love to come down and get some points on the board before half. Grundy's kickoff end over end. Fielded at the 11-yard line by Terry. Coming left. Terry stops, and he is going to be wrestled down shy, right at the 15-yard line.
It's a long way to go. Not a lot on the return for the outcome. Well, the Bengals need some positivity here. I don't know if a drive in 1:46 down the field is actually in the cards for them necessarily. They hit a big play to Jordan Reynolds. We saw them have a big play like that to Reynolds last week that was brought back. They'd love to stack a couple possessions together, knowing they get the football to start the second half.
Call on the shotgun with 4 receivers in the pattern. It's not an offense that minds throwing, but they also don't seem to be in a particular hurry as they change the play. Call, 3-step drop, rolling right, throwing, nobody home. Closest man to it was Nolan Reichlich.
Yeah, there's nobody underneath there, kind of on the emergency route.
There is a penalty flag on the play.
They're going to get him. Okay. Rolled far enough, got it thrown far enough. But as you said, there wasn't there wasn't a Bengal around.
So no loss of downs, but no harm, no foul, no loss of yards. 2nd and 10 from the 15. Myers running right. Albers and others. Keandre Watkins also in there.
Well, they were
now we'll see if Wayzata starts using its timeouts to see if they can get the ball back.
There it is. So they'll take it. They were daring the Bengals to run the football with the 3 down linemen up front. And credit those 3 down linemen. They didn't get absorbed by any of the blocking. They were able to bounce off, make the first contact, and hold Myers down. So nothing the Bengals are throwing out there on offense right now are working, and they just need to take care of the football. And if they don't get a first down, they're going to have to punt it to Wayzata. They'll end up somewhere around midfield with 2 timeouts and a chance at it.
It's a prolific passing offense of their own. Certainly an accurate passing offense, if nothing else. So the Bengals facing a 3rd and 10 from their own 15. And this drive has taken just 20 seconds off the clock. 22 seconds to be exact.
4 straight carries for Preston Myers that he has amassed -6 yards. -1, -3, -2, and a no gain.
Not been able to push. Start.
Yep.
So again, line of scrimmage, as it is so often, the decisive factor in this game. Call 3-step drop. He'll set up the screen, little bubble screen. It's not going to be enough for a first down. A gain of 6 out to the 21, and Wayzata immediately rushes over and takes a timeout.
So yeah, that's the only thing off on my potential description there of what they were sitting with. They will take the timeout here. So they'll only have 1 timeout to work potentially on offense.
Cole Schmidt, his 2nd catch of the half. That timeout stops things with 1:24. So Wayzata will get the ball back with 1:24 and a timeout left. And like you said, more than likely at midfield.
Already up 3 possessions. 21-3 lead. Bengals just in a tough spot now. The first down would go a long way to help their cause here in the first half at least.
Certainly not how they envision things, but I think you obviously have no choice but to kick it away. Faro, Diedrich, and Berkland standing at the Blaine logo at midfield, awaiting this kick.
And they'd like to do something with it too to put their stamp on this half. Help set up the offense in an even better scenario.
Zach Schusted standing back at his own 5-yard line, getting ready to punt this away. Now maybe it's Blaine that takes a timeout.
Not sure if they were trying to draw them off sides. Some
sure
sort
either.
of punt hard count. But the clock was stopped, so usually you might see in that scenario they just wait and let the clock roll, snap it at the last moment,
right.
But clock was stopped.
Clock was not running. Play clock was, but the old hard count on the punt did not work. So still 1:24 left on the clock. I can't imagine this changes much from either coach's perspective, but
well, it should be noted, by the way, they have it, I guess it's 4, a long 4, but they have it 4th and 3 on the board. But it seems much longer than that. So even if you had it in the back of your head to try and do something tricky here with the Bengals.
Yeah, it almost looks like 4th and 4.5, technically. Yeah. Schusted on the right hash at his own 5-yard line. Diedrich and Berkland standing back at their 45. Random horn goes off. And Berkland will come up, signal a fair catch at the Blaine 49. So Wayzata, fantastic starting field position. 1:19 left before half and a 21-3 lead. And remember, they've scored on their last 3 drives. They've scored touchdowns on their last 3 drives.
And they definitely have opportunities, even with the run game, to pick up big chunks, right? They've been able to pick up first downs ad nauseum here with running of Dante Cockrell. So it doesn't eliminate the power run game at this point. 86 carries, he's up over 6.5 yards per carry. But just the one precious timeout, and obviously they've seen Ryan Harvey complete some good throws over the middle.
Faro Diedrich was a converted wide receiver to running back this year, but he's back playing wide receiver in this one. Cockrell Jr. acting as bell cow tonight. Play fake, Harvey rolling right, keeping his eyes downfield, looking for Lenort. He makes the catch at the 22-yard line. Eli Lenort tracked down at the 5. A huge pitch and catch of 44 yards. from Harvey to Lenort.
And that puts Harvey over 100 yards through the air. Just a beautifully thrown ball rolling out. Isaac Moyne just a little bit of a stop and stutter hesitation. The ball drops over the head. And Lenort able to corral it plus some yards after the catch. 2 grabs for him for 61 yards.
From the 6, Cockrell Jr. up the gut, reaching for the goal line. And again, they're going to say he's about a half-yard short. This guy can't buy a touchdown.
I mean, the Bengals get stout in between the 1-yard line and the goal line. It has been tough sledding. No timeout yet. Clock still running. Plenty of time. We'll watch the end of this play. Trying to get the push. You see a 6'1" frame reaching there. And the officials deem that a stop. Now they go with the clock still spinning.
And now Wayzata decides to take a timeout. To stop the clock with Blaine actually takes the timeout. Their final one. You can hear the ref asking them to reset the game clock to 24 seconds. So that's how much time Wayzata will have to work from the half-yard line. And remember, they still have their timeout remaining.
Well, it's been impressive for this Wayzata offense. Able to find the holes and the seams in the Bengal defense throughout this game. Done a lot with Dante Cockrell Jr. They've used that well to set up the pass game. And
I think Harvey's shown some nice touch on some of those deep balls too.
Been very impressed with Ryan Harvey. Able to put the ball where he wants it and allowing his receivers to make a play.
Well, you know, these two offenses, you so often see that teams either all pass or all run these days, but both of these offenses like a pretty even distribution of both. Certainly Wayzata demonstrating their power doing both. Cockrell Jr. still searching for that elusive touchdown tonight in the backfield. And again, a bad snap, and Harvey has to go pounce on it.
Wayzata is going to use that last time out, but that puts them with limited options now.
Joe Beckman at the 6, speeding in off the edge, but again, just I don't know if it's concentration. It is cold out, but you see right here, JW just slips through his hands, and I wonder if the man going in motion in front of the quarterback is a little bit distracting or something. Not sure, but at any rate, Harvey keeps the football for Wayzata, but again, this gets them back to the 7-yard line.
And now that's their last time out. So if you're throwing the ball, incompletion's going to stop the clock. But with 18 seconds left.
And can you run the ball unless you get in the end zone?
If you're going to run the ball and you don't get in, you've got to be able to get right back up on the ball. And you don't have time to spike it either because it is 3rd down. So you got 2 downs to work with. You're not going to get a field goal off at this point running a play unless it's an incompleted pass.
I wouldn't be surprised to see them try to do a little quick slant to Berkman. Drew Berkland, their leading receiver, and they love that play down here. Play action pass rolling out, trying to hit the tight end, and they do. And knocked out of bounds. There is a flag that comes flying. That flag came flying in right at the near pylon. Jackson Braun coming over to make the stop.
Could be a hold in that area too with the way that play was stretching. So the Trojans just walking themselves back. Turns out that timeout from Coach Law that he called when they got down to the 1 and we're trying to go quick.
Ref consulting with the Bengals, trying to decide if they want to take the penalty. Charlie Tomzik, the junior tight end, the one on the catch, just could not quite get the shoulders turned and get to the goal line.
It's going to be on Wayzata, so this is an interesting decision. You take it, you give them an extra down, but they lose the yardage, or you make it 4th down.
But if they're at the 2, you do that. So. Zach Anderson, the 6'3" senior wide receiver, you can come see him come smoking in here at the end.
Yeah, he came across the formation. He was set up alone wide to the right. So they got the wrong guy. They said 18. That's 15. 18 standing alone in the end zone, but that's all right. So it was Berkland. He came off from that slot.
So now 4th down. Alfaro Dietrich looking to pass. He's going to pull it down. He's hit as he's thrown, and it's intercepted by Blaine. Picked off at the 6-yard line. Just 0.2 seconds remaining in the half. You could see Alfaro Dietrich was kind of in between whether he wanted to throw it or not. Finally, he decided to throw it up, and it was ultimately intercepted by Adam Anderson, the senior defensive back.
Well, you're not losing anything, right? That's a very safe, conservative play. You give your guy that's an athlete a couple of options. If he wants to run and take it upfield, you know this is your last play, and then try to get somebody down the field. He would have loved to have carried that into the end zone potentially. But now with 0.2 seconds left, don't see the Bengal offense either trying or accomplishing too much here on this final play of the half.
And it may be academic as Call takes the knee, but how big is that stop for the Blaine defense? Wayzata gets down to the half-yard line with Dante Cockrell Jr., but can't punch it in right before the half. However, the Trojans score on 3 consecutive drives in this first half, and they take a 21-3 lead to the halftime break. You're watching high school football on North Metro TV.
My role with the Senior Kinship Program is to coordinate the matching process between the seniors and the volunteers, as well as supervise and train the volunteers. The Anoka County Community Action Program Senior Kinship Program connects volunteers with seniors living throughout Anoka County. The seniors are living independently, they're age 60 and older, and they're feeling a little isolated, a little lonely, and volunteers help them to feel like they are connected to their community again. So they provide companion services, they provide transportation, they're making phone calls to them, dropping off care packages, different things like that. Jessica said, I want to help people right here where I live.
I wanted to become a part of something bigger than me, that I could be a part of giving back. It will be a great opportunity for anyone to be able to connect with people, because we have so much that we can share and be able to give each other. I'm too busy not to be able to have someone like Darlene in my life, because she gives me the courage, she gives me the inspiration to be able to start my week next week, because it's just another glance of hope for me to be able to carry on.
And to just hear her voice, and because it's bubbly and friendly, you know, it's the hour goes so fast. When you get up in my age, there's a lot of people that leave all the time. So this way you have a companion that, you know, that's there for you, and you can talk to her about things and stuff.
When Vicki reached out to become a volunteer, she had recently retired as a special ed teacher. She had a wonderful relationship with her parents, and that relationship was gone after they passed, and she felt really called to give back to her senior community locally.
I love the wisdom that seniors share. Having lost both of my parents, I realized the importance of having other caring adults looking in on our elderly. It made me realize the loneliness that takes place with our seniors. I feel like our seniors are an overlooked generation.
Kathy is very generous with the compliments that she gives regarding what she's getting out of the kinship program, as well as what she's getting out of the relationship with Vicki.
I have a wonderful person who is my kinship gal, and she has made a huge difference in my life. I mean, I love this program. It has done so much for me, and Vicki, Vicki is just a huge added blessing. I just hear her voice, and it's like sunshine coming in.
Volunteers are essential to make this program run. The volunteers are the people out there meeting with the seniors, and without the volunteers, this program will not exist. The volunteers commit to spend about 1 to 2 hours a week with each client. and some volunteers have the time and the willingness and the energy to take on more than one client that they're working with. The volunteer process is a volunteer applies to become a volunteer. They do an informational phone call with me, an interview with me, and then we do a background check, a reference check, and they go through a volunteer orientation. After that, I get to know the volunteer better as I'm getting to know the senior better, and then make a match with them based on similar interests or similar personalities. In the time that they're together, they might be playing board games, maybe going out into the community to run an errand or pick up a prescription or go to a doctor's appointment. Maybe they're sitting at home working on art projects with them or different craft activities. And they also could be doing things like helping them to fill out forms or sorting their mail.
You could hear in their voice when you called, you know, just how you made their day just by a simple phone call.
You know, with volunteering for me, it's not just about giving. It's always an opportunity that allows you to receive.
You know, we all need help in our lives, and to give it just a smile or a hug and say, you know, I'm here for you, I'll talk with you. Everyone needs that.
The best volunteers are those that want to have some fun and enjoy this program.
Halftime here at Bengals Stadium. At the break, the Bengals trail the Trojans 21-3. As we look at first half highlights, JW. And early promising start for the Bengals, going up top to Jordan Reynolds. And then Preston Myers doing good work on the first drive, breaking tackles. That would set up a 24-yard field goal for Kendall Stadden. Stadden, the girls soccer star, knocks it through. But then Wayzata would go to work on their second drive, and they'd cap it off with a Drew Berkland 9-yard touchdown run, a bruising run at that. And the second drive, you saw a couple times Ryan Harvey plunging in from about a yard out. And then the third drive, almost a bobbled snap, but it bounced off the turf. Harvey dove his 6'4" frame across the goal line. And that's how Wayzata would get out to a 21-3 lead. And Bengals did stiffen at the end of the half and stop Wayzata from they got down to the half-yard line before the end of the half, but couldn't plunge it in. So the Bengals get the football to start the second half, but they still trail this one 21-3. And JW, your thoughts on what was kind of an interesting and wild first half of action, but a first half ultimately in which the Trojans outgained the Bengals 258-98 in terms of total yards.
Yeah, promising start there, certainly offensively, but then their last three drives, they go punt, interception, and punt, and not really gaining a lot on yardage. And so it set up Wayzata with a couple of short fields and great opportunities to go score. The Bengals just have to get the offense going here quicker and be able to win up front and open up some room for Preston Myers.
Some first half numbers. Dante Cockrell Jr., 15 carries, 90 yards on the ground, and then 2 catches for 25 yards in the air. So 115 total yards for the Wayzata tailback. Ryan Harvey, 6 of 9 for 133 yards. Also had 2 rushing touchdowns. Drew Berkland, 3 catches, 58 yards, and a rushing touchdown. Eli Lenort, 2 catches for 61 yards. For the Bengals, A.J. Call, 4 of 7, 86 yards, and an interception. Reynolds, 2 catches for 40 yards. And Preston Myers on the ground, 11 carries for 25 yards. And after a really promising opening drive, JW, what does Blaine have to do to get this second half off to a better start?
Well, good return starts here. Set yourself up with a good first, good opening field scenario. But then you have to be able to win up front. And these Wayzata Trojan coaching staff, for whatever small issues or nitpicking things, they would talk to their guys at the half. They had to praise them about how they were winning the battle in the trenches up front, both on offense and defense. And so if you're the Blaine Bengals, yeah, you're a little bit wounded up front on both sides of the ball. Clayton Huber playing on both sides, being out certainly affects the offensive and defensive lines, but you got to dig deep and be able to get that push because you need 3 possessions and you got to go quick. Time is not on your side here, down by 18 to Wayzata.
Huber and Terry back deep for the Bengals. Andy Vrudny has it teed up at the 40-yard line as we get the second half underway, and it's off to a poor start as Terry bobbles it, and it'll go for a touchback. So thankfully not a turnover for Blaine, but not the start they wanted either.
I was thinking wrong level there, I guess, as it goes off him and then goes into the end zone. Still the automatic touchback here at high school. Any other level, he would have had to field that and try to get something out of it. Instead, they'll start at the 20.
Preston Myers in at the tailback position, 2 receivers near side. A.J. Call from the shotgun, 1st and 10 from the 20. Blaine needs something on this opening drive, trailing 21-3. Myers, positive yardage on 1st down out to the 24-yard line. Call it a pickup of 3.
Well, it's got to be a positive first step just to get that positive yardage. I mean, yeah, they need more, but it has to start there. Get that push. Don't go with these 0, -1, -2 yard rushes that they were getting late in the first half.
Officially 4 on the play. Play fake to Myers. Throwing, looking for Hubert, but that's knocked away late. Well defended on the play by Drew Streeter.
Streeter was there making the play on the receiver, and the ball nearly bounced back to Alex Hart, who was in a good position. What you can ill afford is a turnover. And really, any sort of turnover, as you'll see this one bounce.
Tim Hess putting pressure on Call. Yeah, nearly intercepted. So, brings up 3rd and 6 from the 24-yard line. And certainly Blaine does not want to go 3 and out on its first possession of the second half. Call back to pass. Pressured and sacked. Keandre Watkins and Albers combined to make the sack at the 20-yard line.
Well, nothing to lose for this defensive front for Wayzata. Up by 18, 3rd down. You know you can sell out and try and get to the quarterback at this part of the field. They pick up a 1st down, okay, you regroup. But they got there and forced the loss and the punt coming up.
So once again, Schusted standing back at his own 6-yard line to punt it away. That was as disappointing a start to this second half as Blaine could have asked for. Schusted gets the punt away. Birkeland will field it at midfield. Coming to his right, cuts it back. Ankle tackled across the 45, inside the 45 to the 44. And so again, standing field position for this Wayzata offense.
45-yard line moving in, and they stymied at the 1-yard line in the final seconds of half number 1. That's just about the only thing that has slowed this offense down, scoring on 3 straight drives after they went 3 and out on that opening possession. Bengals have to turn this thing on its head here quickly. And Bill, you're already, even with 10 minutes still to go in the 3rd quarter, you're already in the situation where you need turnovers here, down by 3 scores.
There's a punt of 30 and a return of 6, and Wayzata goes to work with its first possession of the second half. Again, the give on 1st down, this time well defended by Blaine, as Cockrell was driven back by Jack Johnson, among others.
They did eventually give him forward progress. I thought it was odd. They were coming in at the 45 for no gain, but you see him streak forward there before he runs into Johnson.
And Henry Morris.
They have him falling back, but he does get a yard gain.
So Cockrell picks up 1 on 1st down. Drew Birkeland out of that slot position. And again, Cockrell with the carry, more this time as he drags defenders down near the 35 to the 36-yard line, a pickup of 7. Make it 3rd and very manageable. They need to reach the 34.
I thought he was going to break it for bigger here, so good credit to get this ankle tackle. Johnson's playing well here so far in the second half, but he is that ankle tackle away from bouncing to the outside and forcing the secondary to try to make a play.
He stepped out of an ankle tackle of Johnson's earlier in the game, but Johnson is playing well. 3rd down and 2 from the 36. Harvey again gives to Cockrell, again spinning off tacklers. Down to the 32-yard line. It'll be enough to move the chains on the pickup of 4.
Nothing too big, runs a 4.174. He's up over 100 yards now here for the game, but enough to move the sticks. Just continuous positive motion for Dante Cockrell Jr. And the Trojans have a chance right now to just take command of this game even more so on this emphatic drive.
Another steady dose of Cockrell Jr. down near the 25, spot him at the 26. And again, just a solid pickup of 6. He's just 6-7 yards a carry at this point. Clock continuing to roll here in this 3rd quarter, and Wayzata obviously starting with really good field position, just continuing to march.
You got to be careful with that football. I was talking the Bengals need to be looking for turnovers. He's stretching and holding it out there. He's just over 5 yards per carry on 19 carries for 108.
Play fake. Harvey wisely pulls it down. He'll pick up 1st down yardage to the 21, so he manages to scramble for 5 to move the chains. He thought about maybe passing it off to checking it down to a running back nearby, but he decided to pull it down and keep it as Cockrell had leaked out. I think wisely decided to get what he could.
Been impressed with Harvey's decision making certainly today, Bill, and the way he's been able to find his receivers down the field, but then make those choices like he did right there and just give it up and run for that 1st down.
Little bubble pass to Diedrich, and Diedrich swarmed under by Anderson and Braun. It's a loss back to the 22-yard line on that delayed sort of bubble screen. Never really got going.
That's a good read by the Bengal defense that time. They'll give him a loss of 1.
Very slow to develop right here as Harvey swung it to Diedrich, who, for being one of the biggest offensive weapons on this Wayzata team, has been a complete non-factor in this game. And yet they've still been really impressive offensively.
It's his 1st catch, and it goes for negative yardage. 4 carries.
Cockrell Jr. dragging Henry Morris and others inside the 20. So they've breached the Blaine red zone down to the 17-yard line, a pickup of 5. Sets up 3rd and 5 from the 17. 3rd and 6, call it. Need to reach the 11.
Trojans have done this in every which way in that 1st half. A 2-minute and 30-second drive, almost a 4-minute drive, and then they had a 6-minute and 20-second drive. This one rolling on here into minute number 4.
Harvey play fake, swings it out to Birkeland. He tries to make a man miss, but Jackson Braun twirls him down at the 19-yard line. It's another loss, and it brings up 4th down for Wayzata.
Well, the Bengals true on those screen plays so far. A good rally to that football, staying home on the assignment. And Jackson Braun, too. Yep, Jackson Braun showing the strength right there. Pull it down.
4th and 8 now from the 19-yard line. Decision time. Andy Vredny, not great on field goals this year, just 2 of 6, but he will trot on to attempt the 37-yarder. Snap is down, kick is on the way, and it's good. He sneaks it inside the upright. So just as I say it, the reverse broadcaster's jinx, and he knocks it in from 37 yards out.
So a 37-yarder matches the 27-yard field goal that Staten had in the 1st. And it's a clean 3-touchdown, 21-point lead now for the Trojans.
Get another look at it. Barely got across. And it did with a couple yards to spare. So Andy Vredny makes sure their first drive of the 3rd quarter pays off with points. And Blaine finds themselves trailing by a full 3 touchdowns now. Like you said, JW, the results getting points out of another long, methodical drive.
Yeah, 4:49 off the clock, 9 plays. penalty-free again, so their last 2 offensive drives have been penalty-free. 2 offensive drives that had ended up with points.
Hubert retreats back to his 3-yard line to pick that one up, and he is snowed under at the 10-yard line.
Well, that was a good kick, squibbing it down, make it hard to field, but keep it shy of the goal line. Force Hubert to try and make a play. And unable to do so here. This knuckling ball didn't give him that true second bounce.
And kind of muffed it to begin with, and then just all kinds of problems. So 1st and 10 now for the Bengals. Their second drive of the second half. Call pitches it back to Preston Myers. He tries to get the edge, and Myers will. He's finally tracked down and run out of bounds by Dominic Hine, the sophomore linebacker, but not before he picks up about 6 out to the 16.
I like it, stretching things out a little bit. They've tried to run him between the tackles to no avail, and this time rely on that offensive left to set the edge. Got a good block out there from Donovan Torgerson, the sophomore offensive lineman.
Boutwell also making the stop. Call play fake. Tries to get it to his receiver, and that is an incomplete pass. Trying to swing it out there to Donovan Torgerson, whose name we have not called tonight. And Torgerson just dropped it.
So the incompletion. Incorrectly labeled Torgerson as an offensive lineman. He's that blocking tight end who comes off there, trying to make the grab. And that's the type of play that is putting the Bengals behind on the situation, allows the potential blitz with 5 guys showing maybe 6 on the pressure for Wayzata on 3rd down.
A huge 3rd and 4 from their own 16-yard line. Call. Simple pass finds Torgerson for 1st down yardage across the 20 out. Forward progress will spot him at the 23, so move the chains, and JW, that's a huge 1st down for Blaine.
Yeah, it's a well-run route. You pay your quarterback off for trusting in you after the drop, and Torgerson curls his way just past the sticks. Good throw, solid tackle to force him back, but the damage already done, and the Bengals pick up a much-needed 1st down to keep any hope alive in this 3-possession game with just over 16 minutes to go.
Drew Schroeder, one of the surest tacklers on this Wayzata team. Call drops the ball. That kind of blows up the timing of the play, and they're going to lose 1 back to the 22.
Yep, that was it. Timing off, blocking off. No hole there for Myers to run through. And that has just been the kind of night that it has been for this Bengal offense.
2 receivers right and left for Blaine with 4 minutes to go, 3rd quarter. Bengals looking for something offensively, something positive. Call 3-step drop, looking left, airing it out on the seam, and it's caught. Hauled in at the 45-yard line. Nice pitch and catch, 3rd catch of the night for Cole Schmidt.
That's a huge play to pick up 23 yards to Schmidt. And again, the timing, the time to throw also there, and a great route run just a step ahead of the defender.
That was the key. It had protection as Myers goes in between the tackles and gets a couple out to the 47. Wayzata finally driving him back, but yeah, if Call has time to throw, he certainly has enough receivers out there that can make plays, but
he got some weapons. You saw Torgerson make the catch coming off the line. Haven't seen anything yet from Huber tonight, who's also been a potential big target. Toby Huber.
Call 3-step drop from throwing back, and it's intercepted, and this is going to go back the other way. It's going to be a pick 6 for the Trojans. Intercepted by Alex Hart, the junior cornerback. He sat on the route, caught it at the 50, and returned it back all the way for a Wayzata touchdown.
Now this was thrown off the back foot, thrown behind the receiver. After a couple of great throws for 1st downs, this one ill-advised into 3 Trojans, and Hart does the rest, sprinting down the sideline to put a little more icing on this one at 30-3.
Yep, that's what I was trying to say in my call, is throwing it off the back foot, which is never advised for an accurate pass. Andy Rudney on to attack on the extra point. After hitting a 37-yard field goal earlier in the quarter, he splits the uprights with this kick as well, and it's now 31-3, Trojans on top.
Well,
yeah, when you have to throw that much, JW, and put yourself behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, just not the way the half has had to go, giving up the 3 and out, and then the field goal on the short field the next time for the Trojans. And now again, trying to throw their way back into this. Call forcing it. Hart nearly had an interception on a tip ball in the first half. And now he takes that one back to the house here in the second on an underthrown ball.
So the Trojans defense getting into the act of scoring tonight. And it's just been Wayzata's night. Blaine took the early 3-0 lead, much like they did in their game against Minnetonka, but it's been all Trojans ever since.
Speaking of Minnetonka,
they're playing Centennial tonight.
They were up 10-0 at the half.
Of course, regular season wraps up in Minnesota next Wednesday. We'll have Woodbury and Centennial for you as Huber receives it at the 3 and brings it on out. Through a big hole, Toby Huber. He's got one man to beat to midfield, to the 30, 20, and a touchdown for Toby Huber, a 97-yard kickoff return.
Well, something to cheer about for sure. I mentioned Toby Huber in the potential passing game to break something. Well, he breaks it there instead. 97 yards to the house. And Huber gets it done.
Huber with an electric return, had a huge hole, and the speedy wide receiver just went right through the hole, virtually untouched, to the house. So Kendall Stadden on to attempt the extra point. First touchdown of the night for the Bengals.
Well, they get the points back without wasting any time, back down by 21 where they were before the interception. Of course, now they've got to kick it away to the Trojans. Still down 3 scores with just over 2.5 left in this third quarter. Huber had been averaging, Bill, 22.5 per kick return on his 4 returns so far this season. Well, that time, 97.
Well, interesting, Huber only started taking the kickoff returns in the second half. Previously, it had been a different tailback for Blaine along with Tyler Terry, but this time they stick Huber back there and make him the primary returner, and it pays off. Toby Huber with a huge kickoff return for Blaine, and you were wondering if they were going to be able to mount a long drive. Well, kickoff return solves that. So the score is now 31-10, late third quarter. Kendall Stadden has it teed up at the 40-yard line. It's been alternating kickoffs with Schweiger. So we'll see if they bring her on to do a different kind of kick or if she's just going to boot it deep. Certainly would be interesting to see an onside kick of some kind. And sure enough, there is the onside kick, and it's fielded by Wayzata at their own 44-yard line.
Pretty good attempt at it. Stadden got that into the air.
There is a flag on the play. Wayzata coaches across the way pretty upset about something. We'll see what the call is. But that certainly got plenty of air. That was an impressive onside kick.
Carried maybe a yard or two too far to give the Bengals a chance to run underneath that with the hands team. Well, didn't have to worry about whether or not it was going to travel far enough.
Well, and you're just relying on a muff at that point,
correct?
Right?
Yep.
Off the funky spin.
Get the defender there or the Bengal player there at the same time the ball arrives.
Coming over to talk to Coach Mike Law. Interesting. I don't think I saw that fair catch signal. I don't know about
I
you,
didn't either.
JW, but yeah, certainly that's kind of guilty on all of the Blaine Bengals as they swarmed under the receiver. As
Heady
we'll see
play
it
by
here.
the receiver to signal a fair catch. We'd have to see a little earlier, or if it came in the bottom of the shot there. And here you go. Watch 85, right on the 50 right there.
Charlie
There it is.
Tomczyk.
Yep,
Oh,
he made the signal.
okay, yeah, well, like the rest of us, focused on the ball perhaps, and Tomczyk, after that 15-yard penalty, it marches it down to the 41 of Blaine, and that's where Wayzata will start with the football. As they'll go back to the ground game and positive yardage once more, just 2 this time, though, for Dante Cockrell Jr.
I'm not going to fault the Bengals, though. At that
No,
point,
no.
you got to try and level into the guy and force that ball loose. But
And you're juiced up for the onside kick. Smart, heady play, though, by Tomczyk to signal that and then actually make the catch. And then he just got absolutely walloped by a host of Bengals special teamers.
it would have been interesting to see had he dropped it then and also still gotten hit, how they would have sorted out the penalty on that.
Alfaro Diedrich doing what he does as he picks up 9 on that scamper down to the 30-yard line, so move the chains. And this is what Wayzata's offense looked like the first 4 weeks. Alfaro Diedrich, especially against St. Michael Albertville, had 4 touchdowns in that game, but just between the tackles, and he's so little, he's got such a little center of gravity. Converted wide receiver going to play football at St. Thomas next year.
And he's got 5 carries now for 21, but the tough work done by Dante Cockrell Jr. And it might be a chance for Diedrich, for Diedrich to have this one work out in his favor. They're softened up in front of him.
Diedrich bouncing outside, shedding tackles, spinning off tacklers. Looking impressive as he gets it down to the 23. Tough run of 7 yards right there.
He's the change of pace guy now as he breaks that one to the outside.
Now he'll get a breather as Cockrell Jr. comes back, but you look at this run right here.
Good vision to bounce it out there. Out of a potential tackle there around knee high. Jordan Gresseth doesn't miss many tackles. That time a couple extra yards after that contact.
It's not the biggest back. I think most teams in the state would like to have either of these tailbacks as their starter. Low snap, Cockrell Jr. takes it. He plows forward, churning the legs down to the 17, just a gain of 3. But they don't mind chewing up clock as there may be one more play run in this third quarter.
Clock is spinning, about a 3-second differential, play clock and game clock. This can be the last one of the quarter.
Harvey again gives to Cockrell Jr. He lowers the shoulder, dragging defenders. Offensive lineman shoving in there, and he'll get down to the 13, so 4 hard yards. I have to imagine that will be the last play of the third quarter.
We'll see Dante Cockrell into the first 3 quarters. 23 carries and 125 yards. He's been the feature back, and he has paid dividends for these Trojans.
A kickoff return in the third quarter gives Blaine some life, but they still trail Wayzata 31-10 as we head to the fourth here on North Metro TV. Back here at Blaine High School, Bengals Stadium. Wayzata has it at the Blaine 17-yard line, or 18-yard line, I should say. Start of the fourth quarter, Jersey night for Wayzata tonight. Second down and 7. Again, give to Dante Cockrell Jr. into the arms of a Blaine defender down to the 15. But JW, if you're Wayzata, you don't mind a couple yards at a time. He gets down to the 10, so gain of 3. And I think I misspoke earlier. They're actually at the 13-yard line, so 13 down to the 10. And it brings up 3rd and 2. Harvey will follow Cockrell Jr. again. Hard to tell if it was a broken play or what, but I'll say this, Lambert Brown and his coaching staff certainly have some things to sort out as far as short yardage execution down near the goal line. That's about been the only mistake or thing for Wayzata to be concerned about tonight. It's been all Trojans otherwise.
Yeah, except for that last drive of the first half, it's worked out for him too, even after some of those issues. You saw the highlight from half number 1 where Harvey puts it on the deck, gets the perfect bounce right back up to him. That time, yeah, he's trying to mesh there with Cockrell Jr. and give it to him. Ended up keeping it. And sure, you've got Cockrell Jr. plowing the hole there at 6'1", 235. You can make something happen. But that is not what they were looking to do as the timeout comes for the Trojans.
So now the Trojans got to sort some things out and some things to discuss as they've got 4th and 1 coming up. They need to reach the 8. But it is just funny. They've been utterly flawless, basically just picking up yards in chunks until they get down to inside the 10, and then it kind of stalls out for them. And credit to Blaine's defense, especially their defensive line. They seem to get better penetration when the going gets tough. But to your point, it hasn't been the smoothest, but they've still gotten it into the end zone tonight. More often than not.
Yep, they've had the results that they've been looking for. And coaches, though, as you said, they're not going to have to look too far to find some talking points headed into their final regular season game. As Wayzata will look to close the season strong at home against Farmington.
A Farmington team that just beat Lakeville North last night on a hook and ladder to end the game. Very dramatic play, very exciting as time expired. So here we go, 4th and 1 from the 9-yard line. Bengals defense looking to get a stop. Diedrich the lone setback. Give on the jet sweep to Berkland. He'll pitch it to Diedrich. Diedrich will pick up first down yardage. He won't reach the end zone, but he is stopped up at the 3. Move the chains. 1st and goal now for the Trojans.
Wow. I mean, that is nerves of steel to make this little pitch in space. So Berkland keeps the pitch option, and there it goes to Diedrich. Get it in his hands any which way that's possible.
Get the ball to the speedster on the edge. So sets up 1st and goal at the 4-yard line. Cockrell Jr. back in there at tailback. He gets the carry on 1st down, skips into the end zone for the touchdown. Wayzata running away from Blaine now. It's 37-10. And finally, Dante Cockrell Jr., after piling up over 130 yards on the ground tonight, has his touchdown.
Yeah, good for him to get in there. And that time, no doubt about it, he got that big push from the 4-yard line, opened up the hole. And 4 minutes and 20 seconds to go down and score, wasting away the rest of that 3rd quarter and into the 4th.
Brudney tacks on the extra point, and as you said, less than 2 minutes into this 4th quarter, Wayzata with a 38-10 lead over Blaine, and this time the Trojans no issues near the goal line.
No, just the one play where we're spun back a little bit.
How about Berkland's improvisation on the jet sweep? Don't get the jet sweep. You've always got Julian Diedrich to pitch it to.
That's the interesting part for me too, is how much of that's the design, how much of that was right place, right time. But they executed that pitch option. And the Trojans looking to get back in the win column, feeling a lot better about things than they have the last 2 weeks.
It almost looked like one of those option A, option B plays where Berkland, if you can get it on the jet sweep, do. But if someone comes up to make the tackle and you can pitch it wide, do so. So creative play on 4th down keeps the drive alive for Wayzata, and the Trojans, again, looking like the team that was at one point this season number 2 in the state before losing back-to-back weeks to Centennial and then to Maple Grove. Squib kick this time, trying to keep it away from Huber. Taken by the up back, shy of the 30-yard line. Figure Blaine will go to the air, obviously trailing by 4 touchdowns with just 10 minutes left to play.
And we'll be back to the drawing board for them going into their final game of the season. Again, the seeding is probably not going to go in their favor. They're going to get a tough opponent for sure in that 1st round game of the 6A tournament. But the beauty of this level, if you're the Trojans, you've worked out some issues over the last 2 weeks against two really good teams that ended up in losses, playing well tonight. If you're the Bengals, everything resets week by week and game by game from here on out.
High snap somehow corralled by Call. First carry of the night for Luke Hegestead. And the senior was swarmed under by Bo Alber. Big 6 foot, 240-pound defensive lineman. We've had several stand-ups on the front in the front seven tonight.
Yeah, they have been the stars up there defensively, keeping this ground game in check for the Bengals all night long, forcing the obvious passing situations, and that's led to some stops and some turnovers.
Call airing it out down the seam. Great job by Streeter to knock it away, but a penalty flag comes down as Streeter was all over the back of Toby Huber. So that'll be a pass interference, 15 yards, and should be first down for the Bengals. And it was that left hand on the back of Huber.
So Huber earns himself a couple of looks now after his kick return touchdown. You'll see it, hand on the back, a little bit early, taking the receiver down. Yeah, hand on the neck, basically, bear hugging him around the neck there. And the ball's still in the air.
So it makes it 1st and 10 at the 42-yard line for the Bengals. They have not seen or heard from Jordan Reynolds since the first half. And he's not out there now. Call another high snap. And that's tipped at the line. Ball's loose, but that's obviously an incomplete pass. So it's a swarming defense for Wayzata, and we talked about how effective they were. 2 early season shutouts, and even against Centennial, they only gave up the 6 points. So they've been a stout defense all season long.
When they can be big up front, so they get the hands up in the face, flying in there. That's the linebacker, Noah Reichlich. He's at 6 foot, but your defensive line, Tim Hess, 6'1". You've got Drew Streeter, comes out of the backfield, but Cam Courtright, another defensive lineman, he's 6'1". They bring some size to hamper the quarterbacks in a couple of different ways.
Bengals look to the sideline. On 2nd down, Call. Keandre Watkins sacks him for a loss of 7. His 2nd sack of the night. Just speed off the edge for the athletic defensive end.
Good coverage down the field. They just brought 3, basically those 2, getting that deep penetration with Watkins. And nowhere to go with the football for Call. So he has to tuck it, takes a hit.
And we've got the backup quarterback in there now as Huber makes the catch. Pass. There's a no gain on the play.
Drew Sufflick.
Indeed, Drew Stufflick. Again, back deep to receive. As Berkland and Dietrich back at their own 30-yard line. Berkland takes it at his own 36, out across the 40, skips past a man. Finally wrestled out of bounds at midfield, and flags flying. Well, we'll see if this is on the Bengals. Could be another 15 yards in favor of Wayzata. Return of 14 out to midfield, and we'll see what the penalty flag is.
I think they got a little bit too much and too aggressive there once the Wayzata player hit the sideline. So there's going to be some extra tacked on here.
So the Bengals commit a unnecessary penalty, obviously a penalty of frustration.
It's a great
down
move
by
right
28 yard. Oh, yeah, stop start. Jackson Braun, I thought that doesn't seem like much, but Braun, as you see here, wrestling him out of bounds, and then
didn't even get him to the ground. I
No.
mean, I guess the intent was there, but
kind of
Yeah,
flung him, but not far. But be that as it may, it's 15 yards against the Bengals, and it moves the ball down to their own 35-yard line. 7:46 to play, a 38-10 Wayzata lead. And you've got backups in now for both teams. Carry on the play by Chase Marion. He's listed as a defensive back, but obviously in there. Ryan Harvey still in at quarterback, however.
And now it's just time to work on the clock for the Wayzata Trojans. They're not going to do anything too fancy. They're not going to do anything before there's 10 seconds on the play clock. They'll just wind this one away and look for the victory.
Gain of just a yard to the 34. Keep it on the ground. Nope. Play action pass. It's deflected up in the air and nearly intercepted by Anderson.
Update on that Cougar score. It was actually 24-7 Minnetonka at the half. Don't have an update since halftime. They must be underway in the second half there at Minnetonka. Oof. So a tough go for the Cougars on the road. They've been such a good, impressive team running through top flight, top 10 opponents, beating Wayzata, beating Maple Grove.
How many teams
Minnetonka
in the
bridge too
state
far. Yeah.
could put up 24 points in the first half against that Centennial defense? Pretty impressive from the Skippers. Again, the play fake. Harvey rolling right, throwing on the run. Catch is made around the 25-yard line. Hard tackle by Braun as he lays the wood to Ford Griffith. And they'll spot him down at the 28. Gain of 6, but still 3 yards shy of the first down.
Yeah, good open field tackle.
Jackson Braun always in the mix, always around making plays for this Bengals defense. Of course, Wayzata perfectly content to let the clock run. It's 4th and 4. They're going to go for it. And Harvey
nifty.
keeps it himself. That fooled me for sure. Harvey faked it and kept it himself. And he picked up first down yardage inside the 25, a pickup of 4 down to the 24.
Yeah, his management of this game, that's not to say he's just going out there and handing the ball off, but his decision-making, I should say, the decision-making of Ryan Harvey throughout this game has been impressive. Senior quarterback had his offense in the positions they needed to be for success. Got those 2 one-yard touchdown plunges to his own credit. And he's engineering this victory, give them a chance to close the season with 2 wins and go in to try and do some damage in that state tournament.
And there is another number 2, not Dante Cockrell Jr., playing tailback. And he takes the handoff, gain of 5 on this one.
Number 2 jersey, though, having a whale of a game of over 130 yards.
Yes. Once again, Wayzata breaches the Blaine red zone. Bengals, as you said, finishing off the season on Wednesday against Osseo, an improved Osseo team, so that'll be a test for the Bengals, but certainly hoping to finish the regular season 500. Harvey rolling to his right, keeping his eyes downfield, slings it across his body. Catch is made before Blaine defenders swarm the football. So Nate Graham, the big senior tight end, made the grab. Enough for a first down as they spot it just inside the 15-yard line.
Osseo was down big early to White Bear Lake. They've come back now to get back within a touchdown of White Bear Lake. So they'll try to have some momentum for the Orioles.
Bears, the team that the Bengals defeated in the first game of the season on a game-winning Kendall Stadden kick as time expired. 4:20 and counting to go here. All Trojans in this one. No gain on that carry.
It's going to be interesting to see how our teams stack up once those brackets come out after next week's games. Obviously, Centennial, tough loss staring them in the face potentially in this game against Minnetonka. But, I mean, the losses they've had this season have also been to top 10 teams. And so they'll avail themselves well, or have given themselves a pretty good resume throughout the regular season. Blaine, fits and starts. You saw 2 big opening drives, both in this game that got stalled out in the 5, but last game scoring against Centennial early. They can put things together and get healthy. They'll be a tough out.
Harvey going to the air, and he overshoots his intended receiver, looking for Graham on the fade. And brings up 3rd down from the 14. Graham, a big target, as we said, at 6'6". A lot of weapons on this Wayzata offense.
And you talk about a team that's going to be a tough out. The way they played offense today and mixed up the run and pass, the game that Dante Cockrell Jr. had today, that's going to make them very dangerous for any team that they have to square off against. Those 2 losses are going to put them in an interesting position. I think they've got the makings of a team that could be a top seed, but they're going to be a little bit deeper on the seeding line because of those 2 losses.
Harvey, again, play fake, keeps it himself, uses the stiff arm. Braun comes up and runs him out of bounds. At about the 13-yard line, will bring up 4th down, so we'll see if Rudney comes on to attempt the field goal. Harvey does a nice job selling that play fake. Yeah, waiting a long time before he pulls that football out and keeps it.
He's clearly just getting more and more confident as the weeks go by, putting those 2 tough games offensively behind him.
And indeed, Andy Rudney on to attempt a 31-yard field goal from the left hash. Snap down, kick is no good, and I believe it might have been blocked by Blaine. They'll try to return this, and it'll be unsuccessful. So Bengals special teams continues to do its part. There is a flag on the play, so hold on.
After everything was done, the white hat heaved back and chucked that thing from about the 35-yard line. See what he saw.
Maybe a dead ball, unsportsmanlike or something. We'll see. It's been a penalty-filled affair tonight. Minutes and 12 seconds remaining as the refs continue to consult. We'll see what the flag is. Number 2 of the receiving team. Half the goal. First down, Blaine at the 3. That is Jackson Braun's 2nd unsportsmanlike conduct of this drive. Of course, it happened on the punt return earlier, and now not sure what he did there, but it keeps the drive alive, and the Trojans offense trots back on the field.
Here he comes. He's the one who got a piece of it, almost got a piece of it. They say tipped. He's back there by the official.
I don't know.
The finger?
What did he do?
The no signal?
Oh my gosh, the Matumbo. He was whistled for the Matumbo.
That's an official looking for that. I don't know why he's looking to the sideline where Jackson Braun's running, but
I beg your pardon. It ended up just being obviously after the play, so just half the distance. So Blaine will just start deep in its own end and try to just get out of here without conceding a safety. 38-10 our score.
You mentioned twice
done by.
Yeah, twice for Jackson Braun. The other one we didn't necessarily think was that egregious, but yes, he could have stopped and not spun the guy out of bounds. That time, yes, he could have, I guess, not wagged the finger at all, but I mean, those are pretty innocuous calls right there, or innocuous movements by a guy to draw those 2 unsportsmanlike.
Certainly have seen much more egregious personal fouls called before, unsportsmanlike conducts. Airing it out from deep in the end zone, and that Stufflick on. That pass was intended for David McGeehan. 3rd and 11. Blaine may still have to punt this one away.
Well, to do it out of the shadow of their own end zone here, or their own goal post.
Love to get a little bit of breathing room. Bengals obviously waving the white flag at this point. Stufflick, 3-step drop. Airing it out down the seam, connection, and a first down. Nice pass out across the 20-yard line. Tyler Terry makes the grab. Pickup of 21 gives the Bengals a first down and a little bit of breathing room. And as backups for both teams are in now. Hagestead, not much, maybe a yard out to the 25.
It's a gut check time, certainly for the Bengals. Obviously, the result last week didn't go the way they wanted. I didn't think they played poorly in that game. I thought Centennial played really well in the second half. The two teams were even in the first half. Today, they ran into a buzzsaw of the Trojan offense. And, of course, some unforced errors of their own with the turnover for the pick 6.
Bubble screen to Terry out across the 35, another first down to the 36.
But now it's digging deep and still putting in the work for one more regular season game and to try and tune yourself up into the best possible scenario for the postseason. Everybody gets life, everybody gets a chance in the postseason tournament. You get to play your best.
Another completion, 3 straight for Stufflick across the 40. Obviously academic at this point, but Bengals as stifled as we've seen on offense tonight since the STMA game. Of course, Satino Grace, they were held to 10 points as well. Stufflick across midfield down to the 45. Nice little quarterback keeper for the senior.
Seeing his hole.
Reminds me of Chase Daniel a little bit. He has that kind of presence out there.
I mean, Chase Daniel, the ultimate and one of the most successful backup quarterbacks in the NFL of all time.
Yes, sir.
They want him in the quarterback room. Stuff like that time, nowhere to go, but he seems to know what he's about down on the field, too. He's made some plays.
Sacked back to the 48-yard line as we're inside a minute to go.
Second down.
Pass incomplete. Sounds like based on the results going on at Minnetonka that Centennial will have to do some regrouping as well before their game against Woodbury to end the season.
Yeah, I mean, that's another tough game, too. It's hard to go across divisions there, across subsections, and see exactly what Woodbury's schedule has been like in the Metro Maroon. But they're the tops in their section coming into this week with 4 wins in section play.
Terry gets inside the 40 down to the 39.
So that definitely will be a test for them and a chance to close the season with some momentum if they pass that test and get another win.
Student section emptying out here at Bengals Stadium as time ticks away. Last play of the game. Stufflick picks up a yard, and that'll do it here from Bengals Stadium. Tough one tonight for the Bengals. They get a kickoff return in the second half after opening the game with a field goal and taking an early 3-0 lead, but it was all Trojans after that. For my broadcast partner, J.W. Cox, and our entire crew, I'm Bill Hupp saying good evening from Bengals Stadium. Again, the final. Blaine falls in a tough one to Wayzata, 38-10. Thanks for watching.